Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hang on, sir. Okay, I think we're live now on YouTube, and then
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Hector Dominguez. I'm here on behalf of the Cook County Assessor's Office. With us tonight, we have the amazing, my coworker, my partner, Teresa Chandler. She's going to be in the background, just answering any questions that you guys might have. So please, before we do anything else, if you have specific questions you have tonight, please go ahead and put them in the Q&A section. We will be returning to this 2 nights throughout the event. Teresa is going to be in there answering questions, but we have a special guest tonight. We have the assessor himself, Fritz Kagi, who is going to come in and just share a little bit about our office, a little bit about his passion for our office, and then we're going to go in, speak about assessments, speak about exemptions, discounts, all the fun stuff. But before we do anything else,
hey, Hector. I apologize, sir. I pushed the video to YouTube, but we hadn't officially started yet. So, and then I got bounced off. So let's do a retake. All right. I know you were in your zone, man, and I apologize. And then we also have Lucy here who's joined us. So that's perfect. So, hey, Lucy.
What's up, Lucy?
Oh, yeah, we haven't started, right?
We have not. I think we are live on YouTube. But we are not.
We have because it says it on the corner.
Yep, we have not started the webinar, so attendees that registered cannot see us yet. Let's just reset. Thanks for that energy, Hector. Like a good performing artist that you are. Let's do take 2, okay? And I'm gonna push and start now. Okay, we're live, Hector.
Wonderful. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Hector Dominguez. I'm here on behalf of the Assessor's Office. We have a great event planned out for you all tonight. But before we do anything else, if you are watching this live or you're watching this on rewind, please, we know you have lots of questions. That is what we're here to do today, to answer these questions. So if that is you, there is a Q&A section. Please go ahead and just put your question in there right now. My coworker, Teresa Chandler, is going to be in there answering those questions while the presentation is going, just in case you have somewhere to go or you got somewhere to be and you can't hang out with us for the rest of the night. We also have a special guest here with us, 2 special guests here with us tonight. We have from the 3rd Ward, we have Lucy, and she is going to be here with us this evening. We also have the assessor himself, well, not in the flesh, but here with us on the video chat as well, so that he can answer some of these questions and he can share his position, his passion for what we're going to be doing. We're going to be covering assessments, appeals, exemptions, and a little bit of other things that might come up in the Q&A. So without any further ado, I would like to pass it off to the assessor himself, and I'm going to go on mute because y'all are done listening to me. Let's listen to the professional.
Hey, well, thanks, Hector. And first of all, I wanted to thank everyone here for being here tonight. We know that there are many different things going on in our lives. We're overcoming a lot. The weather's hard. We're overcoming the pandemic. All sorts of other things. We're really glad that you're here. We know you could be elsewhere, and that we want to make sure that we get all your questions answered. We give you some useful information. Before I go into what we'll be talking about tonight, which is giving you information that you can use to be a good citizen and to make sure that you're only paying your fair share of your property tax bill. Also, I just wanted to thank Lucy Macedo from the 3rd Ward office for Alderman Dowell. Lucy, will you be making comments here tonight? Or are you just present as well? You want to say hi to everyone? Oh, we can't hear you, Lucy. No sound. Okay, so I'm just going to speak, and then once we get audio for Lucy, I just wanted to thank Lucy in the 3rd Ward Alderman's office, Alderman Pat Dowell. As I've told the Alderman, the 3rd Ward is special to me because I was born in the 3rd Ward. I was born at Michael Reese Hospital, as well as my brother. Grew up not in the ward, but right nearby the ward at 53rd and Greenwood. And I have so many friends and neighbors, many of my classmates at Kenwood Academy, all from the ward. And so I'm really happy to be here with you tonight virtually. Hopefully we can all meet together when we're in person. So what are we going to talk about tonight? First of all, what I want to talk about is give you some information that'll help your understanding of the property tax system, help you be a better citizen in evaluating how the system works, how the third ward and you fit within it. Because some of this information is really important context to know about the meaning of your own assessment. And then the second thing that we'll give you tonight is Hector's going to go through how you can advocate for yourself within the system so that you're only paying your fair share of the cost of government here in your property tax bill. So that's what we'll talk about. First of all, let me go through this higher level information about how the system works. It's not just interesting to know, it's important context for your assessment. So let's start right here. First of all, what is an assessment? What does the assessor's office do? We estimate the value of buildings. And why do we do this? It's part of the larger property tax system. Oh, we're getting some feedback there. Okay, it's part of the larger property tax system where the cost of government, how much property taxes have to be paid in Chicago is not actually determined by us. It's determined by the Chicago Board of Education, the city, the county, many other taxing bodies. There's a total amount of money that has to be raised every year. And then we do assessments not because they're fun, but to determine each property owner's share of that amount of money that has to be collected every year. And the way we do that in Cook County is to estimate what the value of each person's home is. And then we're also estimating the value of all the properties in Chicago, and your share of the value of all property in Chicago, when measured according to assessed value, becomes your share of the total amount of taxes that have to be collected. That is why we do this. That's how this system works. So what does that mean for you? What it means for you is that every 3 years, we're trying to estimate the value of buildings in Chicago. And over the last 3 years, markets have changed a lot. Just like, I was born at Michael Reese Hospital, but Michael Reese Hospital hasn't been there for years. And just how there've been lots of construction and new buildings and prices have changed. Lots of things have changed over the last 3 years in the third ward and different neighborhoods in the third ward. And we take a snapshot once every 3 years, and we did that for Chicago as of January 1st, 2021. And so that's why we were doing the reassessment, and that's what your notice was. The key thing to take away from this is for you to have fairness in our assessment system and property tax system. It's not only important that your assessment accurately reflect the value of your home, but it's just as important that the value of other buildings also be accurate. Those affect your bill too. If we're estimating the value of your home correctly, but we've underestimated the value of a lot of other big buildings, that means more burden is put onto you than is appropriate, and we're not doing our job right. So what our administration is really dedicated to is making sure that the value of everyone's building, no matter how big or humble, is done accurately so everyone's only paying their fair share of the burden. That's how we hope you'll evaluate us. And with this comes the third point that we're making here. A change in your assessment does not involve the same change in your taxes. An increase in your assessment of 20% is not going to involve a 20% change in your taxes. It will probably involve much smaller change. It's possible it could even decrease. So that's an important thing to know. That's why it's important to know how much the assessed value in Chicago has changed as a whole, because that's what impacts how much a change in your assessment means for your bill. In Chicago, assessed value is up about 40% so far this year. That will change a little bit with the appeals process, but people whose assessment is up significantly less than that will have a bill that will also change significantly less than a change in their assessment. So that's an important thing to take away. So what have we seen in Hyde Park Township? Now, a lot of you are probably asking, what is Hyde Park Township? I don't live in Hyde Park. I live in Washington Park, or I live in Bronzeville. Well, Hyde Park Township is this geographic term of convenience that we use and we'll be talking about tonight because that's the area of Chicago where we just sent out assessment notices. Hyde Park Township is the part of the south side that is south of Pershing, east of State, and goes all the way south to south to the southern border of the city of Chicago and east all the way to the border with the lake in Indiana. So it's a huge swath. It's not only Bronzeville and Washington Park in South Shore, but it's also it is also Pill Hill, it's Chatham, it's Pullman, it's the East Side, it's the Bush, it's South Deering. So it's a lot of very different communities. When we average them all together, this chart you see is what the average house price in this whole giant group of different communities went up. So it's about $150,000 was the average sales price in 2020 for single family homes in this community. This green area is sort of like the middle third of all homes that sold. So at the top, the top third, that would be a little bit less than $200,000 sale price. And the bottom third would be $100,000. So there's a pretty significant range even there in the middle third. And you can see that the median assessment that we're using is between it's between 95 and 140,000 for that middle third and 120 and 180 for condos. And the key question when you get an assessment notice from us is, did we estimate the market value of your property correctly? And because we're looking at so many different communities, because communities' market conditions have changed a lot, and because even within small distances, the markets can be very different. The market for Bronzeville is very different from the market for Washington Park. Just make sure that we estimated that correctly. If we didn't, the appeals process is there for you if we overestimated the value of your house. Okay, we can go to the next slide. And that's the most important question for you to consider today. Now, a little bit of context. I mentioned that context is important with assessments. Residential assessments are up in Hyde Park Township, but they're up less than commercial. And what that means, and commercial and industrial and big apartment buildings. So what that means is that even though single family and residential assessments increased, they're actually a smaller share of the assessed value base. So here in this chart in Hyde Park Township, homeowners have gone from 64% of the assessed value base to 58% in this first round of assessments that we sent out. And homeowners' share of the total assessed value decreased 6 percentage points. And that's because commercial and industrial rose more than residential did. And that's an important context. This is a trend we've seen across the city. In every other part of the city, we've seen the same trend happening. And this is continuing a trend that we saw in the suburbs the last 2 years when we've reassessed those places. The reason why is that we find that the assessments that were in place from before our administration tended to undervalue some of the biggest commercial properties. And we've corrected that. We're using market values for those just like we do for everyone else's. And that's reducing the average homeowner's share of the burden as we do that. This is still a story in process. There will be the appeals process. That's why you guys are here on this call today. There's another round of appeals that happens after us at a body called the Cook County Board of Review. So that picture will change a little bit, but we wanted to give this information to you. And what we're showing here is information from Hyde Park Township, but really the most important thing to know is what's going on in Chicago as a whole. And we're seeing the same trend. Homeowners are a little bit more than 10 percentage points less of the assessed value in all of Chicago than they were before the reassessment. And that means homeowners so far in this process have a lower share of the burden. And that's an important thing to know. We'll go to the next slide here. We know lots of people, especially probably some of the folks on this call, you like to dig down. You like to get more information. You want to get your hands on what's going on in my neighborhood. It's fine to hear about what's going on in this big area of Hyde Park Township, but I want to know what's going on in my part of Bronzeville or my part of Washington Park. You can find that out by going to our website and getting more information. You can go to cookcountyassessor.com and then click down in data on that part of the website, and then valuation reports. And then you'll be able to look at a map and see how trends change within each different neighborhood within Hyde Park Township. What we have overall in Hyde Park Township is about 48,400 single family homes. And in this first row, about 1,530 sold in 2020. They sold for between 100,000 and 190,000 in that middle third that I mentioned. And our model estimates homes in the middle third to be $110,000 to $170,000 in value. And you can see all the different values that we mailed. That middle line there, those are 2 to 6 flats. And so 15,800 homes are in the 2 to 6 flat category. There are 680 homes like that were sold in 2020. Then you can see the price range there. And there at the bottom, these are condo units. So 13,700 condos, and of which 585 were sold in 2020. And we estimate them to be valued 120 to 180,000 in that middle third. But you can get a lot more just by going to the website to this area that we mentioned here. We can go to the next slide. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand this off to Hector. So that's like the big picture here. The key thing to take away is that it's not only what happens with your assessment that matters to you, what matters to you is also how other people are being assessed. Homeowners, even if their assessment's gone up, their share of the overall burden is smaller in Hyde Park Township, as we're seeing in most of Chicago. And a change in your assessment does not necessarily involve a change in your taxes, because it's your share of the overall assessed value that's the most important thing, and not the absolute change in your assessment. That said, I'm going to hand it to Hector. This is the part of the presentation where you can advocate best for yourself to make sure that you're only paying your fair share within this larger system. And he's going to show you how appeals and exemptions work. Hector?
Thank you so much, boss. Before I begin, I would love to have Lucy come in and just give a couple of words. How do I do that? I have to unmute. Oh man. Yes, I think you did it.
Hello, sorry about that.
Yeah, there you go, there you go.
Hey, Lucy.
Hello. First, we want to thank Assessor for joining us and making this possible. I know when Alderman Dow, it came about finding out that we had quite a bit of Hyde Park Township. That's when the Alderman was like, hey, we need to make sure that our residents and our constituents understand. So we appreciate you taking this time to help not only ourselves, but our constituents know the difference. So that way, if they do have questions, some we might be able to answer. And if not, then we'll be able to refer them to you.
Absolutely, Lucy. And we do it with delight. We got some great resources here. So the best part of every presentation is always the Q&A. So everyone, keep your questions ready. We already see some good action going on in the chat. Southside always has the best chat, and I know the Third Ward will do a great job with that too. But first, Hector is going to give you this basic information about appeals and exemptions, and then we'll get to your questions. So, Lucy, this will be great, and there'll be more opportunities for everyone out there if you still have questions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. This is, I love what I do, but my favorite part of these events is definitely the Q&A. So let me share my screen. Share. Okay, so what is the responsibility of the assessor's office? So the assessor already covered this, but I'm just going to go over very quickly. It's our job with our 220-ish employees to cover almost 2 million different properties, right? How do we do this? We do this by doing what's called a mass appraisal system. So what we do not do is we do not go to every home at one time. It's impossible to do, right? So every 3 years, properties get reassessed. That is the mass appraisal system. That is how we do this. We also have a way for you to say, hey, I don't think you got it right. right? We believe in checks and balances. We believe in being transparent. So we do have a way for you as the homeowner to say, hey, assessor's office, I don't think you did this right. That's the appeal process. And we also have a way for you to lower your tax bill even more by using our exemptions program. So we're going to talk about those things really quickly. So first, every 3 years, properties get reassessed. Hyde Park is being reassessed this year. Next year, it'll be my area. And yeah, it's just every 3 years, that's what happens, guys. Now, you have a 30-day window to appeal. Now, listen, I've been doing Hyde Park, I think, for 2 weeks already. Your deadline, I believe, is the 21st. Yes, it's January 21st. Today's the 18th. Now, I remember doing this like 2 weeks ago saying, guys, let's not wait until the very end, the very last day to file these appeals so that you get it done on time. There's no scrambling. There's no rushing, right? So just want to make sure you guys are aware that your deadline is the 21st. On the right-hand side is a reassessment notice. This is a sample reassessment notice. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. Guys, this just lets you know what our office believes your property is worth. If we are close to the value of your home, then you have nothing to do. If we're completely off, then you are definitely in the right place tonight. On the right-hand side, we have a tax bill. You get 2 of these a year. You get a blue one when it's cold outside. You get a yellow one when it's warm outside. The blue one is the first installment tax bill. It has 0 exemptions on it, and it is 55% of the previous year's entire bill. The yellow bill is called the second installment tax bill. This does have your exemptions on it, and it is a bill separate and unique from the first. They have nothing to do with each other. Now, there are multiple reasons why a taxpayer may want to appeal. I'm going to go over the 3 most common. The first one is lack of uniformity. This means that myself, Lucy, and the assessor all live on the same block, house built by the same person, same size, same color, same everything. But for whatever reason, my value is not the same as theirs. My value is not uniform to theirs, and I want to know why. The next reason is overvaluation. This is probably everybody here. There is no way my house is worth this much. If my house was worth this much, I would sell it to you right now. And then the third most common reason why someone would want to appeal is incorrect property description or property description error. This just means there is a factual error, not an opinionated error. What does that mean? It means our office says you have a building with 6 apartments or less, but you really have a bungalow. Or our office says you have a property with 2,000 square feet, but you really only have 1,200 square feet, right? There's a factual error that needs to be corrected. Filing an appeal is absolutely free. Again, filing an appeal with our office, I should say, is completely free. All you need is a valid email address to begin. That's it. Now, you might have been receiving letters from attorneys, law firms, things like that, saying that they can do this for you for a fee. You have every right to use them. However, it is my goal that after tonight, you feel confident enough to do this on your own. If I did my job right, you won't need to hire these people unless you want to. When you're filing your appeal, you have to do it when your township is open. Again, your township closes on the 21st. So that's 3 days from now. Actually, it's Friday. So Friday is your guys' last day. You can start your appeal. You can edit your appeal. You can save your appeal. You can modify it however you want. You can attach documents. You can attach pictures, appraisals, sales analysis, whatever you want. You can do all of those things, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So to begin, if you want to file an appeal with our office, just go to cookcountyassessor.com, click on appeals, and then click on file an appeal. Give me 1 second, please. 1 second. Okay. When you click on file an appeal, this is the screen that is going to pop open for you. If you have a house, a residential property, so not a condo, what you want to do is you want to go all the way to the bottom and click on CCAO, Cook County Assessor's Office, Appeals 2021 Real Estate Assessment Valuation Appeal Residential with Comparable Grid. This means you have the ability to add comparable properties if you want to. Now, guys, our office is going to find comparable properties for you. However, I understand that we are the government and you want to do your own work. That's totally fine. That's why we have this option for you. But please note, our office is going to file comparables for you. If you have a condominium and you want to check, you want to click on the second option, CCAO Appeals 2021 Real Estate Assessed Evaluation Appeals Condo/Co-op. Now, if you are one of the taxpayers that wants to find your own comparables, we made that super easy for you. Go to cookcountyassessor.com. What are comparable properties? Dashes in between the words, and you can find your comparables there. I'm going to leave this on the screen for a quick second so you can screenshot it, or you can pause and write this down however you want to, but leave it on there for a quick second so that you guys have every tool, you have access to every tool for your appeal. Now, when you are filing your appeal, we literally took the paper application and we just digitized it. That's all we did. Each heading has a set of questions for you to answer. It is very simple, very straightforward. There are no trick questions. This isn't designed to trip you up or anything like that. You don't need an attorney to do this for you, right? But I do want to draw your attention to two tabs. The first one is additional PINs. This is for anyone that has a prorated property. That means you have one property with multiple PIN numbers. So instead of receiving 2 tax bills a year, you get 4 or 6 or 8, something like that. If you are wondering if this is you or not, it's probably not. If you have a prorated property, you would know. Next, I want to draw your attention to attachments. This is where you would submit additional documentation if you have it, comparable properties if you have it, appraisals if you have one, appeal narrative if you have one, sales analysis, whatever you want. This is where you would do that. Once you submit your appeal, ladies and gentlemen, and you click the giant submit button, and then it says, are you sure? And you click yes, your appeal is done. There is no way to edit it. There is no way to fix it. That's why we encourage people to take their time and start filling this out slowly so that if there is anything you want to change or there are any mistakes, you can go ahead and fix those. Your deadline for Hyde Park Township is Friday, January 21st. That's one way for you to let us know that you have a discrepancy with the value of your home and that you kind of are trying to lower your bill. The second thing you can do is file an exemption or make sure you are receiving the exemptions you qualify for. So the first one is the homeowner exemption. Super easy. As long as you own and occupy the property January 1 of the taxable year. So what we're talking about is 2021, you're fine. You will get that exemption. If you're a senior, you must have been born in 1956, now because we're in the next year, 1956 or before. Very simple. And you must own and occupy the property. For senior freeze, you cannot make more than $65,000 as a total household income. And you must have been born in 1956 or before. Persons with disability exemption, our office has zero authority to tell you if you're disabled or not. So what we do is we give you an application, a P-tax form. You take that to your doctor fills it out on your behalf. You bring that back to us. And if you meet the requirements, then you get the discount. Very simple, straightforward. Returning veterans, this is for anyone who is returning from active duty for the year they return and for the year after. So it's like a 2-year exemption. Veteran with disabilities exemption is my favorite exemption. This is for any veteran that has a service disability eligibility rate of 30% or greater. So if you're 30 to 49%, you get X removed off your tax bill. If you're 50 to 69%, you get X removed off your tax bill. If you're 70 to 100%, you don't pay property taxes at all, as long as your property is not worth more than $800,000. The long-time exemption, this is for anyone who owned and occupied the property for 10 consecutive years. So January 1, 2010, does not make more than $100,000 as a total household income, and your equalized assessed value must have increased significantly depending on where you live at. In a nutshell, anyone who qualified for the long-time exemption, which is only about 2% of the county, received this application last April. Now, in a perfect world, we would say we got it right, there's no mistake, but that's not the case, right? So if you still believe you qualify, I'm going to show you how to let us know. And then the home improvement exemption is super simple. This is for anyone making improvements to the property, pulling permits. Any permit pulled up to $75,000, that increase is not taxed for 4 years. Anything above that $75,000, you are responsible for. We want to let everybody know that exemptions only appear on your second installment tax bill, and your exemptions are going to automatically renew this year once more. Another tool that you may want to take advantage of is the Cook County Property Tax Portal. I'm going to leave this up on the screen for a second. Go ahead and screenshot it. Go ahead and pause, write down however you want, but you can go to cookcountypropertyinfo.com. Here, you can see the payment history of the tax bills. You can see if any refunds are due. You can see if there was a tax sale or any delinquent bills. You can see if there's any exemptions that the exemption history. You can see any documents, any liens, any deed information can be seen here. Some limited deed information can be seen here. You can see the appeal history, and you can see the characteristics of the property. This is a good website to have if you're just interested on seeing the information of property around you. But what happens if you did not file your exemptions? What happens if you filed it, but our office messed up? Or what happens if you sent it in the mail, but it never got to us? Regardless of what the situation is, we have something called a certificate of error program where, as of right now, so January 18, 2022, we can go as far back as 2017 and recoup any money that you are due but did not receive. So what does that mean? That means we can go to 2017, 18, 19, and 20. So 4 years to see if you are due a refund. And it's super easy to do. All you have to do is contact our office, cookcountyassessor.com, or you can write us on Facebook, or you can write us on Instagram or Twitter. You can get connected with us and we can look this information up for you. Again, we want to show you what a second installment tax bill looks like. Remember, the blue one is mailed out when it's cold outside. The yellow one is mailed out when it's warm outside. But what I want to show you is where you can see your discounts. So in your tax bill, bottom left-hand corner under tax calculator, this area in red, it won't be red on your tax bill, but we just have it right here. You'll see homeowner exemption and an amount, senior citizen exemption and an amount, senior freeze exemption and an amount, the disabled persons exemption with an amount, returning veterans with an amount, anything you qualified for and received will be listed here, except for the long time. The long time will be listed under important messages. So how do you contact us? Super simple. cookcountyassessor.com. You can call us at 312-443-7550. We do answer the phone after you put in your PIN number, of course. You can contact us directly on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, we are socially active. We were one of the first offices to literally transform everything and make everything digital when COVID hit. So we are doing everything in everything we can do, humanly possible, to stay connected with our taxpayers. So what I want to do now is stop sharing my screen and let's jump into these Q&As. I see that, I see that Fritz has been in the Q&A answering these questions. All right. But
I didn't answer them all, but I got us off to a start, Hector.
Oh, I'm actually in the chat. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Let me go into the Q&A. Here we go. So the first question is from Vanessa Harris. I feel like I'm being penalized with extreme high taxes because of the new developments in my area. What can I do? I keep appealing, but lose the appeal. I might be forced to move because of these high taxes. You want to tackle that one, boss?
Sure. It is an understandable feeling to be nervous when you see a lot of development going on around you, Vanessa. The good thing to know is that there are lots of tools that you have to make sure that you're being treated fairly, that your home is not being treated like something that was new construction, that's completely different, that has a completely different kind of clientele for it than your home and would trade for a very different price. So it's our job to make sure that we are assessing your home in line with the market, and not to treat an older home that might not have some of the same bells and whistles or features or other characteristics that a new home would, because they're different animals. So we try to, in our modeling, take into account things like the year of construction, building condition, and not mix apples with oranges. It is an imperfect process. As Hector said, we're about a little bit over 200 people trying to estimate the value of 1.9 million very unique properties. But the thing is, you know more about your home than we do. So the key thing is to make sure that we have all the information. And what I try to do as the assessor is to make sure that we walk humbly, so that if you brought new information to us that we didn't have before about the year of construction, building, and condition, that you're being treated fairly, so that your home's only assessed in line with its market value and not anything else. The good news, another piece of good news for you, Vanessa, is that when the whole base of assessed value in the city of Chicago grows, that reduces your share of the property tax levy. So the property tax levy is a fixed amount of dollars we have to collect every year. It grows a little bit every year. But if your assessment is growing less than the total assessed value in the city, which is up about 40% so far, that can mean that your bill doesn't change that much, or even if your assessment grows, your bill can fall. So that was my part of the presentation. But what Hector is here for you is this appeals process, and you have a couple days left to do it. So let's make sure you take advantage of it. Let's make sure that you can appeal if we've overestimated the value of your home, because we don't want you to be forced out of your home, Vanessa. We can also make sure that you're getting all the exemptions that you deserve if you're over 65 and your income's under $65,000 on an adjusted basis. You can qualify for the senior freeze, which can actually leave your assessment in place. And folks who live in the third ward are should especially focus in on this exemption if they qualify, because I know, us on the assessor's team, we think home prices in the third ward are probably the most transformed. There's been more gentrification in the third ward than maybe any other part of Hyde Park Township, but it's very different from one part of the third ward to the other. And so we want to make sure that whatever adjustments we're making, estimates we're making, are truly accurate and representative of your conditions, Vanessa. So Vanessa, if you don't have a lot of time, it's very easy to appeal. You don't have to find your own comps, but in your appeal, you can give us information about, hey, you can put in pictures to say that this home hasn't been renovated in a certain amount of time. You can give us a narrative to show that your home is different from a lot of homes on your block. You want to find other homes that are like yours in terms of age and condition and quality, you might want to put that in just to see if they're assessed lower than yours. So this is why the appeals process exists, and we're here to help you with that. I went on a little bit long there, but this is a very good question, Vanessa. We get a lot of this, especially in communities like in the third ward, where there's been a lot of change in prices, and we don't want people to feel like they're forced out. And this is why we make sure that we're assessing the big buildings downtown properly, because that reduces your share of the burden, and also making sure we get everyone's value right.
And
Hector?
that's the reason why we do these types of events, right? Because some people don't have the ability to come down and see us in person, but we're not in person. You know what I mean? They don't get to ask these kinds of questions. So these type of events kind of work as a bridge between us and them, and the ability to ask these kinds of questions and get the kind of answer that you get straight from the assessor, I think is gold. So
Yep.
Sandra West says, Hyde Park property taxes are outrageously high. If you're east of Cottage Grove, how do you determine property taxes west of Cottage Grove?
So this is a good question. I think this might be a more of a matter of the perception you have of your experiences, because there's actually the same rate on every assessment, no matter where you live in Chicago. So whatever we've estimated the value of your home at, whether you're east of State Street or west of State Street, if you're in Fuller Park, or if you're in Bronzeville, or if you're in Woodlawn or Washington Park or South Shore, no matter what the assessed value is, the same rate applies to it. But so if there's anything that you think might be off or leading to higher taxation than you think you should be, we need to figure out if did something go wrong in the assessment. And we do look very carefully to make sure that we don't have a pattern of bias in assessing homes east or west of any boundary, but particularly State Street when we're looking from one township to another. So let's make sure that the assessment's right. And for your home, Sandra, if you think the assessment has been off, let's go and see and make sure it matches the market value that you have. And then let's make sure you're also getting the same exemption, all the different exemptions that you can qualify for. But if you do think there's some kind of pattern of bias, bring it to our attention. We want to know. We're always looking for ways to improve. But we think if there is a problem, it would be in terms of the assessment rather than the rate, which is the same no matter where you live in Chicago.
Debbie says, or Deborah, sorry. I have a friend named Deborah. We call her Debbie. I am part of a townhouse association. Is it better for us to appeal separately or within the association? I can answer this one if you want, boss. So there is no right or wrong answer for this, right? So I live in a townhome and we have a townhome association. I can choose to appeal individually if I wanted to. However, it has been in my personal experience better to appeal together, especially if there's more than 4 or 5 units appealing at the same time. So again, this is not legal counsel. This is just my opinion based off of personal experience. When one of our townhomes appealed alone, nothing was done. When all 7, 8 of us appealed together, our appeal was successful. So that's what I can tell you. And I feel like Fritz wants to say something. Do you want to say something, boss, or no?
No, that was a great answer, Hector. I was just looking at other questions in the Q&A and getting psyched to talk about those.
No problem at all. So those are all the questions in the Q&A. Let me go to the chat real quick just to make sure. There's a question about divisions, but I see that Teresa answered it. She said you have to contact our divisions unit, our divisions department, and Teresa actually gave you her email address. So go ahead and contact her. She is our private eye investigator in our office. Not really, that's not her title, but that's what she does. So if you give her this information, I guarantee you'll have an answer by the end of this week. So go ahead and do that. But that's it. We don't have any other questions.
Sandra had another question. Sandra West.
Where?
In addition to her good question that she had about how our properties east of Cottage Grove treated versus west. And again, Sandra, bring it to our attention if you're seeing a difference there. We always like to know that. What we want you to know is if you own a lower value home east of Cottage Grove, it should be treated, it shouldn't be treated like as if you had a high value home like the other homes east of Cottage. So let's make sure we get the value of your home right. Sandra's other question was, what if you're not good at filing things online and attaching documents? What other options are available for filing an appeal? Hector or Teresa? Teresa, you had a good answer, but for the benefit of other people on the Zoom and for people who are seeing this on YouTube, maybe on a recording, Teresa, do you want to answer that, or Hector?
I'll answer it. Yes. So we have actually presentations and Powtoons on our website that can assist with how to file an appeal. And also, you can also call our office and we can also assist them with filing an appeal. So we definitely have great, it's actually, we have a Powtoon, right, Hector, and a great presentation. We could probably drop the link down in our website on how to file an appeal as well. Besides making an appointment for our downtown office or our local branch office. And if you really have any questions, call our office. If you need any assistance, we're here to help you.
Yeah,
And
so
those-
Sandra, thanks for asking that. You know, we've invested in a call center. So give us a try. If you've been frustrated calling us in the past, give us a try again. We think we're much more responsive. And you don't have to do an appointment by making the appointment online. If doing things online is a barrier to you, you can call to set up an appointment and then come in, and you'll get the undivided scheduled attention of one of our great associates in a safe environment. We make sure that it's safe, and we'll be able to take care of you. But do try to make that call, you know, as soon as you can, in case there's a rush at the end before the deadline.
For sure. And there was one more thing. Shoot. Oh, the videos, the Powtoon videos, those are on our YouTube, our YouTube channel, I believe. I know they're definitely on our Instagram profile as well. And I know that they're on our Facebook as well. So we will definitely try to get that information out to you. We have one more question from Vanessa Harris, and it just says, I have a question. So Vanessa, do you want to type that question in? Let me see if I can find Vanessa in our attendees. Vanessa Harris.
Fritz, also, if she doesn't have the time, the person that wants to file an appeal online, I would be more than willing to help her, you know,
Okay.
kind of navigate. So I dropped my email in the chat, so she can just email me and I'll go over it with her tomorrow, because I know how pertinent it is. And so we are really here to help if she can't get through on our line. So she can just send me an email and I'll be more than willing to help her.
Okay, we got you covered, Sandra. We hope one of those avenues works for you.
And I believe Kelvin just put the link in the chat section for information and a video on how to appeal as well. All right, well, if there are no other questions, Boss, do you want to?
Yeah. Well, hey, I just wanted to salute Alderman Pat Dowell and Lucy Macedo on her staff for giving us the chance to be here with you. We're happy to serve you. If you have any other questions that didn't get answered, or maybe you didn't feel comfortable bringing it up here on the Zoom, you can bring it to the attention of our office or Alderman Dowell's office. We'll be happy to work with them. We just want to make sure we're serving you wherever you are. As we mentioned, we know we're all overcoming a lot in this very difficult time. We want to make sure we're serving you wherever you are. We're really grateful that you're with us here tonight. We hope the information helps. If you didn't get your question answered, look us up through all the different avenues, or give us a call, or come to the website. We're here to serve you, to make sure that everything is, that you're getting everything that you deserve out of our system. And just know that we're doing our best for you, and that we're delighted to be here with Alderman, who's been really great at connecting us with you, and we're happy to be back again if you need us.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, everybody. Anything else, Lucy? Any other parting words?
First, we want to thank your office for coming out, virtually, and assisting. Being able to do this virtually is great, has been shown to be a very big benefit to our constituents, especially now during COVID. And we do appreciate that there are other options for people who might not be as inclined to do things online, that they're still able to reach out and still get the assistance. So we thank you all on behalf of Alderman Dowell.
Okay, well, thanks, Lucy, and thanks everybody for being out there. We'll see you soon, hopefully next time in person.